And welcome to our 12th webinar, Resolve the Unsolved Forum by Panacea eBiz Consulting Group. Today, as we embark on our 12th webinar, I'm happy to share with you, based on the past 11 sessions which we had, we have been getting quite good responses, individually entrepreneurs and business entities, where they wanted to address certain of the existing issues. And taking that journey forward, today we would be for critical organizational development parameter. And the topic today is organizational development for scalable growth. It's a very, very crucial and imperative parameter which organization, be it small, medium or large, needs to constantly introspect and focus upon. Because without a proper structuring and understanding of the internal capacities and building on those capacities, an organization cannot be vibrant, and in the 21st century's highly competitive and dynamic business environment, it becomes very critical where we all need to be alert and focused on it. Today, with me, I have two gentlemen, Mr. Ravindra Goel and Mr. Kalyan Singh. Kalyan is our guest speaker today. Welcome, Kalyan, to the forum.
Thank you.
Before we go forward, I would like to introduce my two colleagues. Mr. Goel, as most of you who are attending might be familiar, he has a rich exposure of 25 to 27 years plus in training and encouraging youngsters across the country, specifically into enabling and providing them with certain skills, enabling startups and organizations in the last decade or so, mentoring them and helping them reach a particular growth stage. Today, Mr. Goel is also mentoring. He himself is focusing on and started up new tech-oriented initiatives too. Coming on to Mr. Kalyan Singh, me and Kalyan happen to know each other, I think, for more than 2 decades, right, Kalyan?
Yeah, that's correct. Maybe more than that.
Maybe more than that. Okay. Kalyan has spent more than 27 years and has a rich experience in training and facilitating across the industry sectors. He is a known OD consultant. He is an expert in learning and development and focuses on leadership continuum. He had a rich corporate training experience. He has spent substantial time with leading corporates, to name a few, like Exide Life Insurance as an executive vice president, with Bajaj Allianz, with Max Neon, and he has spent substantial time with Finance Partner. Today, he is, I would say, mentoring across the year. I would say not mentoring and coaching leaders and enhancing and enabling them to perform better across sectors, be it manufacturing, be it pharmaceutical, and companies which are not only within the Indian borders, but multinationals too. Welcome once again, Kalyan, to the session.
Thank you.
To start off, may I request Mr. Goel to say a few words on the session today? Please, Mr. Goel.
Thank you, Sandeep. Hello, entrepreneurs. I welcome you all in our 12th webinar on behalf of Panacea eBiz Consulting Group's forum, Resolve the Unsolved. Our today's topic is organization development for scalable growth. As we see, there is always a quest with the entrepreneurs to scale fast and grow rapidly. Now, that quest is always there, but part is that how do we sustain that growth and how do we scale fast is always a challenge. Like generally, all big MNCs when they move to one market to another market, so they find informal, unorganized sector in competition. There are issues of like lack of knowledge, poor literacy, unattractive income levels, and closed door communities. The acceptance level, awareness, adapting to the new products or accepting them. So these all becomes a different issue, and companies actually they go with the what we call the studies or the research, extensive research, but that depends on the company which do the research part, how deep analysis they have done, how deeply they have understood the market, how deeply they have gone with the consumer, attached with the consumer. The second question comes is that how can we be in existence for long? There are companies who say that we are 100 plus years or 200 plus years, but uh, sustaining it for long is quite a big issue, big challenge. People do not like going seeing companies with 50 years or 60 years anniversaries in companies is very rare, not very often we see companies celebrating their golden, silver jubilee or diamond jubilee. So that is another challenge. Probably Mr. Kalyan, who's an expert, will share how we can see the longevity in the companies. Post to that, if we talk about the adaptation and surviving in difficult time, like bad economical or bad political phases, like recently we have seen many corporates or many companies have closed down their operations. They could not survive even for 6 months lockdown period. Like COVID is an unprecedented time which we definitely did not plan. Nobody could plan that, but surviving and selling out from this kind of unprecedented lockdown, it was something very unimagined by the companies, the management board. But still, few companies have survived, and probably they diverted, they adapted, and they created new product range, and they are doing wonders. So the problem is that to feel the gaze of the situation around them and how fast they can react to those changes. That is another part probably which I think Kalyan will be focusing on. When we talk about organization development, he's an expert. Uh, as per my understanding, organization development, the three four layers what we have in the company is one is the promoters, the board, which drives the company. Then we have the middle management and the frontline people. Most of the companies have seen that the frontline people are only treated like a product. The flow back of information does not happen. It happens from the board and it has been passed on to the front line, and they remain I attended one session with of Mr. Clem Blanchard. So he said the front line is always a quack and the boardroom behaves like an eagle. Whereas he said that to develop organizations and to have longevity, we must have eagles on the front, and probably may not be quacks, but eagles must be there on the front line. So that's what is missing. The board does not get the real feel of the situations around. And the biggest thing is how to manage the dull periods. You don't have sales, lockdown is there, product is not selling, your people are at home. So, how do we manage these times? Are we going to surrender to the situation and close down the company, or we have some formulation by which we can survive and can come out again in a very good way? Probably I'll share the lifespan of a cockroach. There is a white paper published on this cockroach theory by Mr. Prahlad. People must be aware with his name. So that cockroach is such a I must say insect which can survive beyond human race and has been there for last more than 350 million years. It can survive without food. It can grow limbs. It can probably live without his head for a couple of weeks. So that kind of agility is missing in the companies. That kind of thought process is missing, I must say. And the another thing what I have seen is the need to realize of like to co-create and coexist rather than creating an I phenomena. That probably has to be also understood in a different context. People generally, when we talk about organization development, they talk about I see when we were teaching. So it is mostly taken as a human resource part. Mostly people they understood organization development as developing your human resources, but part is that it is much beyond that. It is much beyond that. And then the situation comes that the tendency to bear the loss or regrow the lost opportunities. Today, there was an opportunity, probably because of COVID, we have lost that opportunity. Do we have that capacity to come back, bounce back, and produce something else, or maybe market the same product and become profitable again?
Right.
So again, as I have been attaching everything related, everything I attach to the mindset of the boardroom and the promoters. So that is what again I come back that all these things are mostly with the mindset of the entrepreneur, the board, or the management, which is on the driving seat. And then when you launch a product, have you defined the product or customize your models according to the community benefit model? Now you are selling something, but it is not relating to the community. So probably there definitely will be some bounce back, and you'll have problems. Then collaborative value partnership, like today, if we see India as a market, we are talking about localization of resources. So companies who are been able to manage those terms or manage those new conditions, when they have been welcomed in India. So do you have that collaborative value model in your system or not? So there are a lot. Probably I'll give this to Kalyan, and I welcome him, who's a renowned consultant in learning and development. And I request, like you can share your queries on our email ID questions at panaceaebiz.com. We will try to answer the queries through our forum. And I must thank you all for listening to me, and back to Sandeep to take this further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. In fact, there are a lot of things and people's understanding. You rightly mentioned, Mr. Goyal, of organizational development sometimes is very limited, and it's surprising that industry and corporates most of the time have, with the limited thought process or approaches, have not looked into the entire perspective and the depth of 4D. So I invite Kalyan. Kalyan, please take on from here and lead us into the discussion.
Yeah.
It's your time, please.
So you have to be my, you have to check whether my audio is fine or not.
Perfect.
So
It's perfect.
once you say yes, then I'll go ahead.
It's clear.
So I think first of all, I would like to thank Panacea eBiz Consulting for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic, which is organizational development. And I think Ravinder ji has said it all. So I am now thinking that what is that I can add, and what is the value addition that I can do.
Sure.
And in the presence of Sandeep ji, I think anything that I say would fall short, because the kind of knowledge that he has in terms of organizational development and the knowledge that Ravinder ji has exhibited, I can only be doing spade work rather than adding a lot of value.
That's your humble, Kalyan, but you know much more. Please go ahead.
I'll try.
Please.
So this is the 12th or 13th session of Resolved the Unsolved, and I'm sure you guys would have gone through the 11 sessions, and those would have been enriching, and it would have added value to your business that you do. And I think the growth propeller of the country is MSME. So it is not about the big companies in the country anymore. It is about the MSME. It is about the startup. It's about people taking a punt, the entrepreneurial punt, to start their businesses. Because the only way that India can grow is not by providing jobs, but the way India can grow is by building businesses which provide jobs. So I think the segment that we are interacting with, which is MSME, they are the biggest growth propeller for the country, biggest growth propeller for the economy. And I think with MSME thinking that way, we would be the biggest economy in futures to come. While I say that MSME are going to be the growth propeller, I think organizational development, as Sandeep ji and as Ravinder ji has mentioned, becomes an integral part, because most of the time we are looking at what product, most of the time we are looking at what are the requirements that the customer has, but then somewhere we lag on focusing on organizational development. So what I feel is organizational development going forward, when you want to break out to the orbit, take your business to the next level, and put yourself in the world map, or put yourself in the national map at least. So, for example, if I'm talking to people who are from the northern part of the country, I'm sure within days to come, you would start focusing on the eastern part of the country, on the southern part of the country, and you would like to have your footprints in the entire nation. And then who can stop you? You can think of going to the SAARC country and so on and so forth. So organization development as a promoter would become an integral part. I will try to make organizational development as simple as possible, because I think, I can create a rocket science out of it. And whenever I have tried to create a rocket science out of it, I have lost my, so I'll try to make it as simple as possible so that you understand. And you guys start focusing on organizational development, because it cannot be left for a later date. It has to be, as you are taking the strides, as you are nimble footed, you have to think about organizational development as well. It cannot be sidelined as an activity which is an occasion. So it's in the process. And if you realize that this process should have been done earlier, it would be a real late. And then, there could be a dip in businesses, in revenues, in profitability, and you may face challenges. So I think you guys have to think about organization development right from the beginning, and this is the right time. So to get into organization development, I think what I'm going to do is I have two narratives, right? And that's the way that I generally explain things to make it simple. So I'll give you two situations and scenarios, and I would request you to think over it. And while you're thinking over it, I know that I would not get your answers. However, when you think over it, I know you would be thinking it right. So, narrative number one for you: imagine. I want you to imagine. Imagine that you and your family, you guys have applied for, let's say, citizenship in US. I'm again saying you and your family, you have applied for your citizenship in US. And in the US consulate in India, you have got your interview in next 7 days. So you get this letter and you are euphoric and you are happy and you are, joyed, and you think that you have got the citizenship. But then that's the first step, right? You have to appear for an interview with US consulate. It's only that your papers and documentations are in place. So my question is that while they are doing a family interview, which is going to happen after 7 days, do you think it is prudent to do some preparation? Think about it. You going there for the interview, would it be prudent to do some preparation in terms of what question can be asked and what answers you should give so that you get the best of the marks and you qualify? Would it not be prudent that you tell your wife that, these are the questions that you can get, and do a rehearsal and a simulation a little bit of the answers that she should be giving, and your children's as well? I'm sure you guys are going to do that. Now, while you guys are doing that, this is a narrative that I'm giving you. While you guys are doing that, that means you're doing a development. You are keeping the goal in mind and you're preparing for that goal in terms of competencies and capabilities of self and others in your family so that you can reach that goal that you have in life. This is personal life. Now, when I'm saying preparation is required to reach a goal in a personal life, I'm sure preparation is required to reach a goal in professional life as well. So when I'm talking about a professional life, I'm talking about your business. So I'm sure you have some goals in mind. You have got some dreams in mind. You have got some objectives in mind. It could be, a short-term goal. It could be a long-term goal. But definitely, the business is going to move only when you have some goals in mind. And when you keep those goals in mind and you work on those goals and you prepare yourself for that, you plan yourself for that, then only you reach those goals. That's the first narrative, right? The second narrative would want you to think in the last few days, maybe 30 days. You have been to a shop, you have been to an outlet, you have been to a restaurant, you have went for dining, and you have decided that you're not going to go back there. Think about it. In last 30 days, you have been to an outlet, you have been to a shop, you have been to a restaurant, you have been to a business house for some transaction, and you have decided that you're not going to go there. I'm sure it would have happened. And if it would not happen in last 30 days, I'm sure it would have happened in last 1 year. Because last about 8 months, we are seeing lockdown. So it would have definitely happened. And if I ask you to think beyond those 8 months, maybe in December, your 31st night, maybe on 25th of December, your Christmas Eve, I'm sure you would have come satisfied or you would have come dissatisfied and you would have decided that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to go there. Now something must have gone wrong, right? So if you check back what's gone wrong, you would say, the food was not good, I was not served the way it should have been served, or the behavior of the people were too bad, right? The entire decor was not good. The entire surrounding was very filthy. So there could be so many reasons. Or they charged me through my nose. For a simple dish I have paid thrice the money. I don't think they are worth it. They are not worth the value that I'm looking for. So you find that the decision not to go to a particular place could depend on product, could depend on pricing, could depend on where they are, that is, and how they serve you, the entire process, right? It could depend on the physical environment. It could depend on the people, right? So you'll find that there are various components to it. So your decision to go to a place again and again and decision not to go to a particular place ever again would depend on a lot of factors, right? Now, that's another narrative, which means that for that business where you have decided not to go to become successful, the key components are what we have just discussed, right? And those are the ingredients.
Right.
Now, I want to grow my business. I have a goal in my business life, right? So unless and until these components are not taken care of and they are not managed and they are not developed, right, you are not going to reach your goal. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in these two scenarios and situation and narratives which I have given, you will find that situation one is the development situation, which is OD, organizational development. So that's situation one is the development part of it, right? Now, if you're talking about scenario two or the situation two, you'll find that that's the place where the organization comes in, right? And you'll find that while you are wanting to be with an organization or not wanting to be with an organization is because of comparison in your mind. So it could be a comparison of a product which you have already used, or it could be a comparison that you have in mind of an expectation that you have, right? Which means that the business where you have decided not to go has to change. I'll repeat, the business that you have decided not to go has to change. And if it doesn't change, then they would have more customers who would decide not to opt for it, right? And this change of all the elements and the development of all the elements is known as organizational development. As Sandeep sir and Ravinder sir were saying, that generally organizational development is is wrongly deciphered as development of only human resource, right? It is not about developing human resource. Organizational development is a huge canvas, right? And it talks about the entire organization. For example, if you are an MSME, right, and whatever businesses that you are in, if you want to, get into the next bracket, A, or you find that your sales and your revenues are dipping, or you find your profitability is not as much as it should be, or you find that because of circumstances, which could be environment, which could be political, which could be geopolitical, which could be any, right? Because of that, your business is not moving as you have envisaged. Your business is not moving as you have thought. Your business is not moving as you have planned, right? That's the time the change is required, right? So change is not about attitude all the time. Change is not about behavior all the time. Change is about changing the entire machinery. And behavior and attitude is a part of that machinery. It's a subset of that machinery. So when you're talking about organizational development, it's not about a subset which is human resource. It's about developing your entire entity, your entire organization. It may happen that while you're doing organizational development, you may find that there are certain elements which are in place. Don't develop. You may find that there are certain elements which may not require to be developed now because of the kind of push that you want to give. Leave it for later. But it may require that you have to develop some elements right now, right? So which means that it may require that you need to change your pricing policy. So you may need to do a re-engineering or a rethinking of your pricing. It may be you have to change your product. But then it has to be thought through. It has to be researched through. It cannot be shot in arm, right? You need doctors to do that, right? And you need Sandeep sir, you wanted to say something?
No.
Okay, so you need doctors to do that. You need consultants to do that, right? We may do it, right? But we would do a quack's job, right? But then if you want to do it right, if you want to do it proper, then to do a complete organizational development and to have a complete org lens, right? You have to have a complete org lens. And that lens would be, to scan the organization top to bottom, and then to see that where are the gaps, and then to see that how those gaps could be fulfilled, and what are the efforts and what are the planning which is required to fulfill those gaps, right? So there could be a chicken and egg story that may go into your mind, right? Because scenario 2 is about business development, and scenario 1 is about organizational development. So business development and organizational development. So you want to develop your business, but then you don't want to develop the organization, right? Thinking that let me get the business first and then I'll develop the organization. So when people are transacting because you have developed your business, they find that the organization is lagging, and then there is an expectation mismatch that happens. So both has to go hand in hand, organization as well as business, right? So business development and organization has to go hand in hand. It is like a Siamese twins, right? You cannot do one at the cost of other, right? So this entire process is also known as re-engineering, right? There's nothing as off the cuff. Everything is science, right? There's nothing as gut feeling. Everything is mathematical. Everything is statistical, right? And anything adds up to a number. So 2 and 2 is going to add up to 4 only, right? 2 and 2 can never become 5, right? But yes, the willingness can drive that extra bit to make it 5. But then 2 plus 2 would always be 4, right? So OD is a re-engineering process, as we have discussed. And it could be for various reasons, which we have discussed. You have a goal, you have an aspiration, the scenarios have changed, the environment has changed, the geopolitical scenario has changed, or the product has been banned. There could be so many reasons, right, to do an organizational development. Or it could be COVID, right? So the COVID has pushed us to think differently, that how do we perform? How do we, how to be in the market and how to be in competition? That's also organizational development, right? So the good thing is that now you do not need the consultant physically to be there, right? Everything can happen virtually. It has become so quick, so easy. While we are talking like this, you can engage organizational development specialists, right? And the organization development can happen virtually as well, because anything can move virtually, right? Okay. Now, let me give you certain examples where, because of organizational development, big businesses of northern part of the country failed. Northern part of the country failed, and they were big name, big businesses, but organizational development did not happen, right? So let me give you the name slowly so that you can think over it. So the first name is Texla. We all knew this name, Texla, right? In every house, there was a Texla product. They were doing roaring business. Believe you in me, right? About 30 years back, whenever you switch on your TV, you'll find that the programs are sponsored by Texla, right? And there's a Gurbani which is going on as an ad to Texla, right? You'd find Uptron, right? A big name. You'll find Onida. Onida was like, they are going to rule the roost, right? So Noida was converted as Onida, and the family thought that this is going to do a fantastic business, right? But they are in the oblivion now. Konark, for that matter, right? It was again a big name. Other than these, these consumer segment, let me talk about a name which is Devi Dayal. Devi Dayal, right? Devi Dayal was like ruling the market in, utensils, right? They are not there anymore. Do you say that, the product has vanished? We don't require utensils now? Yeah, we require utensils, but we don't buy Devi Dayal. Whereas there was a time when anything and everything had to be Devi Dayal. I remember going with my mother to a shop and my mother saying that I'm not going to buy anything. It has to be Devi Dayal. They lost it. Believe you in me, all these companies that I'm talking about, they lost it. They lost the bloody opportunity. I'm sorry for this language, but they lost it. I feel bad about it because there was a time that I've used these brands and these brands are no more, right? Then you talk about Duckback. Anything and everything which had to be, to do with protecting you from rain had to be dug back. They could have been in industrial segment. They could have been in consumer segment. They're not there. They were ruling the roost, right? Futura. After Devi Dayal, you got Futura. Futura is there no more, right? Think about, Futura. They came out with utensils which are laminated from beneath, and it is going to last long. They are not there. They're not there. Real value is not there. Think about these names, they're not there. So what I'm saying is that your MSME, right, could be a name to reckon or may not be and goes into an oblivion like Texla, like Uptron, like Onida, like Konak, like Devidya, like Duckback, if you don't do organizational development. Organizational development has to happen. It's not just about human resource. It's about the complete gambit, right? Complete gambit. And we all want to take this off your mind that organizational development is only related to people. Yeah, it's a part, but it's not the whole, right? Okay. So the question is that are there organizations who went through this dip, but they did well? Yes, there are umpteen examples. There are companies which started at a MSME level of today and they have made big, right? So for example, I would like to take a name which is Enfield, right? Enfield started small. And then there was a time when only second-hand Enfields were being sold, right? No new Enfield were being sold. But now you find that the company has come back again, Eicher Motors, right? It has come back again and they are selling Enfield like hot cakes. It has bloody killed the entire higher segment Harley Davidson market. Enfield. They have repositioned themselves, they have re-engineered themselves, right? And they have done a real organizational development. It is possible. My question is, if you have done it once, you can do it twice. You will miss the plan. You will miss the boat if you miss doing the planning. Believe you in me, right? If you miss doing the planning, if you miss doing the preparation, if you miss doing organizational development, you are doing great. I'm sure a lot of MSMEs who are listening to this, right? You are doing great, maybe in NCR. Now you would think of branching out of NCR to the northern part of the country, right? Why not Punjab? Why not Himachal? Why not, let's say Uttarakhand? Why not, why not Jammu and Kashmir, right? And from there, why not branch out to Rajasthan and your inroads to West? From there, Ahmedabad, from there, Bombay, from there, Gujarat. You can do that, right? I'm sure as an MSME, if you are into business, not like, employees of a corporate, right, who are thinking only salary. You cannot think only salary. You have to think beyond salary, isn't it, right? You have to think of conquering the regions. You have to think of conquering the needs and wants of consumer. You have to think of conquering the likability of your, right? So you are the most pragmatic ones. You are the most growth-oriented ones. You are the guys who are not with fixed mindset. And if you are with a fixed mindset, then don't be an MSME. Don't be an MSME, right? If you are with a fixed mindset. And I'm sure you're with a growth mindset if you're watching this video till now. If you have stopped the video, then you would have been a fixed mindset. But if you're watching the video till now, you have the growth mindset and you want to learn, right? And you want to grow, because you can only grow through learning. I'm yet to see somebody growing without learning, right? Either through your failures or from the failures, right? Who have failed, and they can help you not to fail, right? So there are only two ways of growing, right? So Enfield is one example. Bata is another example. It was into shambles, right? Then MDH Masala. I am awed by MDH Masala. Awed by MDH Masala, right? MDH Masala has been there right from the time when I was a child till date. And it has been a demand of each and every housewife. They have made it. The worlds have changed, the times have changed, and you'll find that the other masalas would have come and they would have gone, but MDH has stayed. Similarly, Kothari products, they have stayed. They have changed their packaging, they have changed their taste, they have changed their quantity, they have come out with new packaging, and they have done organizational development, they have changed, right? So I think, there's so many. Liberty is an example, right? Liberty went to the doldrums, but today you find Liberty is again picking up, right? And that was an MSME once, right? They started from one small factory in Kanpur, right? But they are doing well, right? Then Amul is a great example, right? With so much of, other dairy products, international dairy products, they are doing great, right? And an MSME like Micromass is thinking of, again reviving itself. You have to ride the wave. You have an opportunity. You have to encash that opportunity. But do you think if Micromass thinks the way they were thinking, when they closed down, would they ever grow? Answer is no. They have to think different. They have to do organizational development. So as a part of organizational development, they have changed their branding. It's in now. They have changed their packaging. They have changed the look of the product. They have priced it in such a manner. So you'll find everything is getting covered. They have worked on their product. They have worked on their pricing. They have worked on their packaging. They have worked on their promotion. They have worked on their placement, that is distribution. They have worked on their processes. They have worked on their people. They have worked on everything. And if any one thing goes missing, you may be getting business because of inertia, but that has to do. Let me tell you, right? If anything goes missing and you're looking and not looking at it, you will get business for a while because of the inertia. But then the business has to dip. So don't wait for the dip. For example, we go back to the doctor and do yearly checkup, isn't it? So get your yearly checkup done. Get your yearly org lens done, right? You can always do that. And to know that through that org lens, that in the organizational development, what is that you require to focus now, right? That you have money for. You can always do that, right? So let me tell you, what are the simple steps that can be taken for organizational development. I think it all starts with benchmarking. All starts with benchmarking. So as an organization, I need to benchmark myself first. So my benchmark should be realistic, right? And I should not get demotivated after doing a benchmarking. So, for example, I am a small cobbler, right, in Kanpur, manufacturing shoes, and I say, hey, my benchmark is Adidas, right? You are dead. You are in a fool's paradise, right? Okay, so you need to do a benchmarking wherein you know that competitively, right, in a short term scenario you would be able to reach that. So you have to have a long term goal, but then you have to benchmark yourself. Your long term goal could be Adidas, but to reach Adidas and Nike, it does not mean that the first year you're going to hit that. So you have to have short term goals or the benchmarks where you take on competition which is the best as per your current business scenario, as per your current business reality. So you have to build that relevance. So once you have done benchmark, I'm sure there would be competitors who are doing well than you, and yeah, there will be. And if there are competitors, and if you find that you do not have any competitors, that's not a happy scenario. If you feel that you do not have competitors, that's not a happy scenario, believe me, right? Okay, you need to check back why you do not have competitors, right? Because if the business is really thriving and sustainable, right, then you should have more competitors, right? So you need to check, right? So you have to have competitors. And if you have no competitor, but yes, there are there are a lot of companies, right, and you feel that I cannot benchmark with anybody, right, then think of a company which is national presence, think of a company which is international presence. But you have to benchmark yourself, because more forward looking that you are, more growth oriented that you would be, right? So benchmarking is first. Once you have done benchmarking, you need to then copy it. You need to better it. First is copy and second is better, right? So there would be a lot of renovation that has to happen, re-engineering that has to happen, rethink that has to happen. And I'm making it very simple. When I benchmark, I copy first. That's the first thing. So when I copy, I try and see that I'm exactly delivering the value that the other company is delivering at a price, right, which is affordable. I may price myself a little higher or lower. That's a different thing altogether. That's a pricing theory, and I'm sure the bunch of consultants over here would help you to do that. But then once you benchmark, right, yourself, then you have to see that your copy or you're going to become better, and everything is money. Everything is money, right? Anything that you want to do in business to become better is money. That's an investment, right? So you have to see that you are in a position to invest or not. So then you have to optimize. Either you cut down on your budget of OD, or you rationalize and you say that I'll do OD in this particular area only, right? Either you cut down on your budgets on OD and you do it for everyone, all the departments, right, that we just spoke about: product, process, place, promotion, physical environment, people, packaging. Or you say that, hey, I'm not going to rationalize. I'm going to focus on few things. So you optimize it. Okay. Once you have done that, right, then you have to see that this entire thing has to be delivered by people, right? At the end of the day, you have artificial intelligence, but as an MSME, I think artificial intelligence would be more of an investment, and it would suck all your money. So you need to work with people only, right? So the biggest hurdle that you would get while doing organizational development would be that you would be able to develop everything, because that is under your control. People are those people who are not under your control, even if you're paying salary, right? So the most difficult part and most engaging part of organizational development is that uncontrollable factor, which is people. And that's why you will find that, because that's so critical, that's so important, everybody talks about only people in organizational development, right? And rest, everything else is termed as re-engineering, right? However, that is also organizational development, right? So then you have to work with people. Now, let me give this very quick to you. So you have got a vision for the organization. From that vision, you would arrive at a mission. From that mission, you would arrive at a goal. For that goal, you would have a strategy. I'll again repeat. You would have a vision, right? Then you would have a mission. Then you would have a goal. And for that goal, you have got a strategy. Those strategy would then get converted into key performance indicators because people have to do it, right? And key performance indicators would be achieved by right role and responsibility. So you have to create a role and responsibility matrix, right? The role and responsibility can be achieved through competency and capabilities. So unless and until you do not have people with correct competency, correct capability, they would not be able to deliver their role and responsibility. If they're not being able to deliver their role and responsibility, the KPIs would not be met. And if the KPI is not met, the strategy is not met. If the strategy is not met, the goal is not met, the mission is not met, and the vision is not, right? So coming back, right? So you have got capabilities and competencies, which means that in the entire organization, various functions, various levels, various competency and capability, and you create a competency framework, right? So once you create a competency framework, which dovetails into the story that I have just given to you, right? You create a competency framework and then connect it to your PMS, performance management system, right? And if you don't have a performance management system, you can always have a performance management system all by yourself. It's about, your potential and your performance, right? We can talk about that in any other session if you want to, right? If you wish to. So once you connect it with a performance management system, which is not going to happen yearly. A lot of people have this conflicting, belief that performance management system happens yearly. No, performance management system is daily. It can be reviewed weekly. It can be updated on the dashboard monthly. It can be recognized and rewarded half yearly or yearly, but performance management system happens daily, right? Because if you want people to perform to their capability and competency, then you have to administrate and you have to mentor them on a daily basis, right? So you link this to performance management system and then you find gaps. Obviously, you'll find people are not performing, so you'll be able to find out the gaps in terms of their potential. Once you get to know the gaps, then comes the scenario where you have to fulfill that gap, right? And those would be the efforts in terms of, let's say coaching, in terms of mentoring, either by outside party or either by creating coaches inside the organization, right? Or by creating a change management team inside the organization. Because when you're doing an OD, the first hurdle is change management, right? And project management. These are the two things of an OD, right? So you have got projects. You would not like to launch everything. You would like to pilot everything. So there's a project management which is going to happen, right, in OD, and there's performance. There is change management which is going to happen in an organization, right? So these are the few things that I wanted to speak to you, and I would like to summarize. I would like to summarize by saying that, I think, Sandeep sir and Ravinder sir are always available for you to help you, to assist you, support you, right? And they have given me the opportunity to speak, but then if they speak, then they are going to add more meat and value to it, right? I'm just the hero of today, right? They are hero for every day, right? So we started with, generic scenario 1 and scenario 2. From there, we found out that there's an organizational development and there is a business development. These go together. So this entire thing is re-engineering, right? And we talked about some companies which failed, they were big, but some companies which were big and there was a dip and then they resurfaced, right? And you as an MSME, you are all poised to be in that particular, a boat or a ride, which is India shining right. I'm telling you, right? I'm not giving a political statement. I don't want to be political. Any political party that rules the country, right, has to see that India is growing and India is shining, because that's what is next, right? India has to be a formidable power. And that can only happen through MSMEs like you. MSMEs like you, right? You are going to be the growth person. So the trick is you benchmark first, and then you do optimization. Then you look at all the elements, which is product, price, place, promotion, all those elements to see that where things are going wrong, right? And then out of this, everything is controllable, but people part is a little uncontrollable even after giving salary to them, because they are driven by their will, and taming the will is a little difficult, right? So what you do is you have vision in place, you have mission in place, and you have goals in place. Then there are strategy, and from those strategy there are key performance indicator, then role and responsibility matrix, from their competency and capability linked to the PMS, right? And then you find gaps, and then you try and help people fulfill those gaps. And there could be a lot of change management project going on, or there could be project management going on. So this entire thing is organizational development, and it happens on a regular basis. It cannot be an occasion like Navratri or Eid or Holi or Christmas, right? Or a Guru Purv. It cannot be an occasion. It has to be every day. So that's what I wanted to speak, and I would be more than happy, Ravinder sir and Sandeep sir, if you would want me to come back and speak on this topic uh, on an advanced manner. I would be more than happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalyan. It was great. You, in fact, covered all the key factors which any organization needs to focus on, right? And I'm sure, Mr. Goel, like as you have been interacting within the organization and with other organizations, okay, there were very critical issues, and in fact, it's a very, very deep area which Kalyan did focus on to it. And there were crucial measurement areas. So I'm sure you can add certain points on the measurement areas, Mr. Goel.
You see, Sandeep, and I must first of all appreciate Mr. Kalyan for making it so simple. And
Yeah.
that's wonderful, because you see, making it complex is something good, but making it understandable is something very great. So I must thank you, Kalyan, for sharing it in a very simplified way. Now, as you said, the organization development, why it does not happen, and I'll add just two lines to it.
Sure.
Today, like we have seen that because of COVID, every mall, every restaurant you visit, there is a sanitizer machine, there is a temperature measurement machine, that gun, and they come with the mask. So you see, something which is imposed on the businessman, it has been taken care. But the moment it comes to him that like the sales, because he needs revenue, so he will be talking about how much today, what happened. So that's a normal routine he would like to address too. But if we go on to the development part of it, until unless something is imposed on him, those remains in the, like, what we used to say in school days, backbenchers. So all these issues which are there, which are probably required, which are formidable, I must say, those always been put behind. And there is nobody, like people say that I've heard a number of people, they say that HR, oh, he has to prepare only the salaries and attendance sheets and that's it.
Right.
Very few MSMEs do actually take work from HR guy or HR system. Same way, if we talk about, let's say, the certifications we have, ISO certifications or many other certifications people do take. I'm not criticizing the entire process, but I strongly believe the certifications or the processes are being laid down as a show window. Those are not being adhered to. Those are being taken out from the file racks only on the day of inspection, or maybe getting filled 1 week before. So these issues are basically like a security guard. Everyday theft is not going to happen, but security guard is placed every day. The same way, there has to be a team deployed in the system probably which is working on these issues, which are not entirely taking care of your sales on day-to-day basis, but probably make you a global company or maybe an international company, national company in a longer period of time. So I must say all these issues should be taken as a guard or a PN. Probably may not contribute to the growth immediately, but those are required and those must be placed every day. As Kalyan said, performance indicators should be taken, performance management system should be taken care daily basis. So likewise, these issues should not be ignored. And like the way we see the sales chart, we must attend to these people who are working for long-term objective of the company.
True. True. In fact, that is very, very crucial. In fact, as both of you focused on reviewing the performance on a constant basis, this is very, very important. Kalyan, great, you pointed it out. And in fact, appraisal or review is not once a year. If there is a key performance indicator, it needs to be reviewed, measured, supported on an ongoing basis. It is not going to be meant that at the year end, I will just try and rate it and link it to incentives, which people do it. So great. Like, I think it was great, Kalyan. Like you, as Mr. Gold pointed out, you made it very simple and it was very apt and it was great. Just great.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sure that as we go forward, there will be these areas which needs to be addressed by the industries in depth. And I welcome everybody who would be listening to us to get back to us, write to us, call us at any point of time, and we'll be there to help you out. Our team will be there to help you out. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you, Kalyan, for joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Goel. Till we meet again shortly.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.